build an environment of pursuing curiosity.
You know who you are, who you really are. Like,
you are listening to Everyday Educators on 1921 Radio.
And without further ado, welcome back, loved ones. This is the Everyday Educators podcast. I am your host, Jeremy, with the always beautiful and radiant Naomi. What's going on, Nay?
Nothing much. How are you?
I'm full. We're going to get into that. And you all can catch us every Saturday on 1921radio.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube and wherever you find your podcasts. Episodes drop every Saturday. You can find us there and on all socials at Everyday Educators. Don't forget the S. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We want to hear from you. Now, Nay, have you ever been so full that the next day you still full?
Yes. But I also have a confession to make because, sometimes the food is just so good, you just need a taste. So even though you full, you got to go back and taste a little bit of it.
Oh, listen, you are speaking my religion. I was stuffed after one plate, but then I saw an untapped pan of macaroni and cheese with the catfish nuggets.
It needs you. You can't just let it sit out there.
And I don't know what the hell was on them rolls. Listen. We're gonna get into all of that. We're gonna get into all of that. But today we have a very, very special guest. Her hands are blessed. She has ancestral recipes, seasoning out of this world. Today on the Everyday Educators podcast, we got Miss Shayla McCall, y'all, from Shayla's Kitchen. Shayla, thank you for being on the show. How are you feeling? How your knees? How your feet? Like, how are you feeling today?
I'm actually just realized what happened yesterday this morning. I told my sister, I can't believe I just did that. That's how I'm feeling.
You did a big thing.
Everybody was full.
Listen, let me tell you, Nay. Now, you know me. I show up for my people.
You do.
I show up for my people. I had never had Shayla's cooking before. I tried to get her to cater for my birthday party, She wasn't, in Chicago. So she hit me up and was like, hey, man, I'm doing this. I haven't released the tickets, but just I'm having this thing. I'm like, man, mark me down. I'm there. I was prepared to stop and get some food because I don't eat everybody's food.
I was gonna say this is real. Like high praise because Jeremy is so picky.
Yeah, and I could cook a little bit, and I don't even know if that's true after last night. But I was prepared to stop on the way home, and I got there, and then I felt like I needed to apologize because this was like. It was fantastic. We're going to get more into last night and everything that went into that. But listen, y'all, I'm just telling you at the top of the show, if you need somebody to cater, if you just hungry, you need a plate, hit up Shayla's Kitchen right now.
Better call me.
So with that being said.
My first stop when I come home now.
Listen. So my question is, like, what is a standout food memory? What is like a memory that was like food was involved, in you all's travels last night, notwithstanding?
In my travels, okay.
I'm just saying in your life. It could be
in life
with your grandma. It could be that Moroccan
tell you the memory
restaurant
that got me to where I am today.
Okay, let's go with that.
So what used to stand out, and this happens, this was reoccurring. This is how it ended up being my job. My grandma in Virginia, when we were kids, we would go every summer, and my parents would drive to Virginia, right? So she would call the house, and she would be like, now, what y'all want to eat when y'all get off the road? It's 5 different people saying everything they could imagine on this table. And when we got off the road, everything you could ask for and whatever we requested, it was there. And she would call the family over, and that's how I wanted to become a chef. I loved how she would put all this food on the table. Everybody would come over. They would be laughing. It was just like a good time, and you knew she made it because she loved you. Like you just felt it. And I was too young to understand it. But I was like, I like that. Like I want that. So I've been a grandma technically all my life. And
Okay,
that is
Nate.
my food memory.
Now Nate, top that.
I don't know if I have a similar experience. So I grew up with my grandparents. We lived in a 2-flat. For those of y'all are not familiar with Chicago, that's just like a mini apartment building. There's 2 apartments in there with a basement. And we call them like 2 flats, 3 flats, so on and so forth. But anyway, my grandfather, both of my grandparents lived upstairs, but my grandfather was the cook. My grandmother does not like to cook, and she is open about that. But he would always take requests from whomever, like my mom, myself. There'll be times where at the end of the day, there's 3 or 4 different dinners ready because we all wanted something different. And like, he just took such pride in like cooking for us and taking care of us in that way. And then like, my mom is the oldest of 7. So he used to do his own like Thanksgiving dinner. So similar to you, he would be like up early, like cooking all day. And my aunts and uncles and cousins would be there just from all over. And I just remember to your point about like, how cool, like we're all here, we're all having a good time. Like there's a reason for us to come back, which I learned in my adult life that everybody didn't like. It's not a standard to like go back home, bring your wife and your children, and like you make that a point in your personal and like your own little nuclear family to go back to your own parents' home at least once or twice a year. So I did not want to become a chef. I'm not a good cook, but I do appreciate the opportunity and what that taught me about community and family. Like everybody likes to eat, everybody likes good food. And so if for nothing else, I took that with me from those experiences.
So, my phone dropped. I'm gonna go the opposite way. Y'all were real loving, and I appreciate that. That warmth, that family. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, back in the day when I was a poor college student, and I was pretending to be grown, and pretending, and I was very poor, so I had to steal groceries. And so I'm living with this young lady, and I'm making like $50 a week in my job. And so, I got to make it stretch. So we had to self checkout. This is before they got the cameras and everything in there, so you scan one item and, you dump about 7 pieces in there. And so this woman decided to stress me out because all of a sudden, this is when I knew it was over. Because she had the bright idea that she wanted to go raw vegan. And I'm like, gee, you can't steal produce like that, like in bulk. And it was just traumatizing trying to get like 2 heads of lettuce and hella cucumbers and everything, and only paying $4 and like getting out of the jewels. But, I made it work. But that was, that was short lived. So, but thank you for that. Thank you for those wonderful food memories, right? So now we're going to transition into our next segment, Actual Factual. And that is when we have a conversation about some news or something that's going in the headlines that, may or may not impact the industry of education, right? So, ladies, when was the last time you all volunteered?
Oh, I feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I actually haven't volunteered. Well, no, I lied. The last time I volunteered for something was last summer.
Okay.
My church does this back to school event every year.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do it, I make food that the kids like, but I also make, like, usually I'll do like healthy fruit salad, like try to show them that something healthy can taste good. And the kids usually love the fruit salad because it be busting.
I think about that song from the Wiggles. Fruit salad, da, da, da,
Yummy,
yummy,
yummy.
yummy. Hey, that was a bop. What
Oh,
about you, Nay?
Oh, I'm telling on myself, but I can't think of a time. I'm lying. So when I moved here, and I haven't done it often, but I volunteered to be like a mentor for some students that are moving. They're transitioning out of high school and moving into a junior college program.
Okay.
And so you kind of just like talk to them about their classes, what college is going to be like, see if they have any questions. That specific program has it's like 100% paid. So if you get in there, you are essentially going to your junior college for 2 years for free. And then in that, they offer you mentorship. And so when I moved here, I like really didn't have anything to do. It's right before I quit my job and I was looking to like build community. So I volunteered for that. But I have, again, like it's not like you have to do it like weekly. They have to do it like once a semester. And so sometimes they'll rotate you in or rotate you out. So the kid that you meet with at the beginning of the semester might not be the one that you get at the end, type of thing. So
Yeah. Good. So I work with, I'm on the board of an organization, Open Architecture Collaborative, Chicago chapter. And so the past 2 years, we participate in organization called Rebuilding Together. And so they pick out different homes in neighborhoods and kind of rebuild their cribs, right? And so painting, electrical, carpentry, all that other kind of stuff. And so they partner with organizations like OAC and have someone like project manage that basically. So did it last year. This year I was like the house captain, which means I kind of made sure everybody did what they were supposed to do. So it was a nice older woman in Inglewood, and she was very appreciative. She had a beautiful house too. So yeah, so that's dope. which brings us to today's story, right? On the corporate side, what we were just discussing is called corporate responsibility, right? And which simply means that they're holding, the corporations are holding themselves and their stakeholders accountable to the public by doing, different initiatives. And so this year, State Farm, which is headquartered and where you are, Shayla, in Atlanta, they came together with over 5,000 volunteers to make over 1 million meals, right? So, did you know about that?
I didn't know
Yeah.
anything about it.
Mm-hmm. So, let's see here. They had, oh, wow. So they did it in shifts. So they did 6 90-minute shifts with folks on an assembly line preparing over, like I said, over 1 million meals that went to different food banks and other organizations throughout Atlanta. Actually, the number here is 1,020,672 meals that they prepared in a day. So that's pretty dope, And so I don't know what organization was that with, uh, Nate, out where you are. Do you remember the name of it?
I can't remember the name of the scholarship program.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I was just trying to give folks tips, right? Like Shayla, your local churches and organizations. I know here in Chicago, Chicago Learning Exchange, they're like a nexus point for a lot of different community based organizations that are always looking for, as my grandfather says, some strong backs and weak minds. But some volunteers. And so we just here encourage everybody to, to get out in the community, right? We know you educators are working very hard every day, but just like, you want folks to come out and support your efforts, we have that same responsibility to our communities. Our communities. So, Miss McCall.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna take you back in the day, right? To elementary, high school, we'll get into college. But first, the question we ask all of our guests: if we were to bring in all of your teachers, right? And you know what? For you, we're gonna bring in your church members as well, all your church family. We're gonna bring them all together.
Okay.
We got to hold you accountable. Brought them all together in the room. What type of student would they say you were?
One that they had to pray for really, really hard. And they really wasn't sure which way I was going. All of them.
That's real. Okay, so take us back. Caldwell Academy. How was your time there? Tell us about it.
So this is crazy, but elementary school was like easy. Elementary was nothing. The hardest part of elementary school, I actually went to school right off Krieger. Well, it's on Krieger. I think that's 86 something somewhere. It's right up the street.
I know where it's at. Yeah, OVs. Yeah.
And so all the kids were bad. So I was surviving elementary school. I had to know how to fight. And I was very much a tomboy at the time. And I had already started ditching school in elementary school.
Not you, Shayla.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Lord.
As far as my work ethic goes, I did well. My parents got divorced while I was when I was 11. So I was like a great scholar up until then, but I'm the oldest sibling. So somehow, some way, I figured I got to take care of my siblings, and I started being a mama. And so I didn't really, schoolwork wasn't important because I kind of got into this mode of making sure the house was good. And so that's when things fell off. And then I started acting grown. I guess I felt like, well, I'm doing grown stuff. I'm grown. But I never failed anything. I was able to just always skate by, which was
okay. Well, you did something right because you ended up at the illustrious King College Prep, Dr. Martin Luther King. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't noticed, we got some Jaguars in the house. You know what I'm saying? Now you can step to the side right now. It's a Jaguar thing. You know what I'm saying? Chicago public schools. She went to Catholic school, so she don't know nothing about this.
It's all right. Okay. We don't judge. That's good.
No, I judge. But see, lately we've been having all the Catholic school folks come in, and so I just had to fall back. So now it's our time to shine.
Oh, okay, well let's do it.
But so what was that process like? I know my process to getting to King. Were there any other schools? I'm assuming you had to do great on your selective enrollment test. What happened? You shaking your head. What you robbed somebody?
My daddy had a guy. You ever hear somebody be like, I got a guy?
Oh.
So
okay.
my dad had a guy who knew Dr. White. That's what I'm saying. Like I never failed nothing. I just literally God has my back at all times because most of the time I'm always just like, oh, this okay. This how we doing this. Well, let's do it. But I didn't take a test.
Dang, you didn't even take the test?
I didn't even go to I didn't even go to what was the program y'all had before school started?
Yeah,
That's how
the
everybody knew
summer joint.
everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I would just went.
That's
When
amazing.
Future say really on the plug, I already knew what that meant.
I don't know how I feel. We
I'm
scrapping and
sorry.
surviving to get in there. You just, hey y'all.
I really didn't know it was a process though. To even get in. My dad told me about the school. I didn't know anything. Actually, this is kind of sad, but it's kind of a blessing in disguise. I was pregnant my 8th grade year.
Wow.
So I had a baby and everything. I was busy doing that. And I didn't know what was going on as far as high school.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
So
none of that.
yeah, my dad just was like, the thing was I'm smart. My son that I have now, he is extremely intelligent. And that's what I was. I was just distracted. So it was like she can do it, but she's just all over the place
Yeah.
in life. But that's how I learned how to pivot technically, because it was always something going on. So I got to move. But I just got into school.
Shout out to your daddy for like looking at you and being like, I'm gonna get my baby through this. I know somebody, she gonna go to this school and everything's gonna be okay.
I'm gonna just drop this little brown bag off, and then she gonna be admitted, and we gonna keep it pushing. So, so what school did you think you were going to? But
Listen, people
Bowen,
that graduate thank you. Yes,
Bowen.
people that
Oh,
graduate Caldwell went to either Bowen or
oof.
CBS. So in my mind, CBS would have been like top tier because
Yeah. I mean,
Bowen
okay.
is like, yo, I ain't even got the time
Listen,
for
I'm
Bowen.
just tell y'all out here. If you ever watched Lean on Me, and you know about East Side High,
Literally,
that's the Bowen Boilermakers.
yes.
All right,
So
we
that was
gonna.
those were my options based off of the high school I graduated from. I mean the
Yeah.
elementary. Mm-hmm.
Well, shout out to Pops, man.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, brother. We appreciate you. Okay, so I know how my time at King was. So tell me about your KCP experience. How was that?
High school was a breeze. Not in grades wise now. I'm gonna not tell y'all. That's why I know if you put your mind to something, you can do it. Because grades did not get me where I am at all. But high school was more of this place where you were socially free for me. And we did have our little fights and stuff that happened, but I was like, oh, they mad about what? Like they'll be all right.
But you was
And
already an adult. That's probably
Yeah,
why.
you like, y'all are
yeah,
children.
that's what I'm saying. I was looking at everything. I had all my friends, they knew that I was like the motherly friend. I remember Gabby told me one time, like we were crossing the street and I grabbed her hand. I like slightly picked her up a little bit because the car was
Oh.
coming. But high school kind of really made me. I will say that. I think King, what I love about King is that it let us be creative. And it
Mm-hmm.
kind of allowed us to find what we like, who we are. We got to tap into all these different things, and they helped you develop wherever you wanted to be. Because Miss Levy, I was going to be a music major originally for college. And Miss Levy, I couldn't read music well, but I grew up in church, so I had an ear for music. And so she noticed it and she would let me teach the choir songs for my midterm and my final.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, I love that. I'm reading, I
Yeah.
have to like interject right here. I'm reading this book and it is The book is called Neuro Teaching. It's all about like brain development and adolescence and all that stuff. And so the part that I was reading last night was like being flexible in the way that you assess students, because essentially all of them are not going to show up. You're not going to get the best out of them giving them like a multi-choice test that's going to take them the next hour and a half. And so they talked about like all these different ways you could assess a student's knowledge. Letting a student teach choir was not one of them, so I'm glad to like add that to the list. Like
No,
that's
shout out to Miss Levy. She picked up on it. She was like, here. And then you remember Tracy Jeremy, Tracy Stingley. So he would play the piano or the keyboard or whatever, and we would work together. And I taught Kirk Franklin, like I taught what I knew. I was like, oh, we could do this, and I would teach all the parts. And that was where I understood it was okay to. I feel like our high school helped us understand it's okay to be different because your differences is what will make you in the future.
So you were Sister Mary Clarence, basically.
You hear me, Sister Act, to be specific.
So, and let me just add some context for you guys, because I also had a similar, I can't remember the young lady's name, but the chemistry teacher, like I would get done like before the bell rang, I'm done with the work. And so she allowed me, I'm sure it made her job easier, but to like teach the class, to like help, teach the rest of the class. So it kept me from being a distraction. Nay, you know about that. But for those of you who aren't familiar, at that time, King had been like revitalized, right? And so when we were there, when Shayla and I was there, we were just the second class. So there were only freshmen and sophomores. So it was just like a bunch of kids, running around the school, and it wasn't all that, pressure, right?
Right.
And like everybody came from like the same 5 schools and then Caldwell. That was
right.
So it was just like, yeah. So okay. So that's good. That's good. All right. So is this where you like when did you start like taking cooking seriously? Cause and then like how did that turn into you going into Cordon Bleu? Like, what was that process like?
So I didn't take cooking. I knew I had been cooking since I learned how to cook when I was 8. So I've been cooking all these years. And I just knew I liked it. I never took it serious. I didn't take it serious until just recently. One time in high school on New Year's Eve, we were all supposed to go somewhere and something happened. It was about 15 people here in this house. This is my mom's house. And I cooked for everybody. It was just, I knew how to do it. So high school had nothing to do with it. It was just, when the friends would come over, my best friends would come over, I would go to their house, look in the refrigerator, see. I'm like, y'all hungry? They'll be like, yeah, but you got to cook. I'm like, oh, well, let me see what you got in the fridge. I cook. I had my little boyfriend, and he had already graduated high school. And I would go over his house and make him breakfast before he went to work, then go to school. Then like cooking was just like, cause you gotta eat in my mind.
Man, Lord.
So I went to music school. I went because I did go to Columbia for a semester. And I found that I was cooking more than I was going to class, because people would get food. And still not putting money to it. I never sold plates in college or anything. It was just like, oh, you got food? I'll cook. We were learning about food stamps. I was like, you got a link? Oh, let's go to the grocery store. I'll cook. Always cooking. Everybody knew. I even had a friend call me the pancake lady. So I began to get bored with college. Like, music theory is not for the weak. I couldn't read music because Miss Levy, she was trying to teach me. But one thing I am is, and you will find this in most chefs, we probably all have ADD. We probably all have ADHD. And the only time we focus for real is when we get in that kitchen. That's our mode. But then if you ever watch a chef for real in the kitchen, they never focus on one thing either. But it's a craft, so it makes sense. So I just music wasn't doing it for me. So I flunked, and I was like, I want to go to culinary school. It just like, let me do something I already know how to do. That's pretty much how we got there. And so I would say this because school was always a thing for me. I did not get all the way through culinary school because I was paying it for myself. So what I did was I took what I learned, I took what I knew, and I started putting it together.
Mm.
Because I also have a grandma that's Creole. So I'm learning Creole dishes. I got my grandma in the South. Like I know what to do, but I don't have the art yet. You know, the when we learn mise en place, everything in place. Like I would have never known any of that stuff. A mirepoix, what's important, the basis of a soup. Um, and I would tell anybody that want to do something, if you really want to do it, learn it because there are things you don't know. You Even though you get these traditions, tradition is great, but people can tell tradition and training and all that type of stuff. So I went to Le Cordon Bleu. I got almost to the end, couldn't afford it. So then I went to the military.
Oh. Pivot. All right.
Right. That's
Like,
what I
oh.
could do. I know how to get through something. So I go to the Navy and I'm back in this place where I cook one meal one time because I was bored. I told my girl, like, I'm gonna cook, blah, blah, blah. She invited some friends and she was like, you cook like this? I'm like, oh, I'm thinking nothing of it. I'm just like, oh, yeah, like, I'm hungry.
Girl, this a Tuesday. What are you saying?
Yeah.
You know, you gotta eat.
I ain't
That's
even
how I
cooking
used
for
to look
real.
at
I'm
it.
just
No, I just bored. Like, let's do this. So it got to the point in the military where people were bringing groceries. They would go to the commissary because that's where you get all the groceries for cheap, right? Go to the commissary and they would call me like, "You at home?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm at home." All right, well, I'm at the grocery store. I'm gonna bring something up. Can you make it? I'm like, "Oh yeah," and I grandma, I'm like, "Yeah, baby, just come on over." And this was like at least 3 times out the week for sure. And so it literally is it's in me. I would be crazy not to do it. It's what I know how to do. It comes naturally. And then I still take classes. I don't know everything. One thing about the culinary industry, like all industries, it changes. So plating is always different. It's always unique. You got people using paintbrushes now to plate. Like, listen, tweezers. It is a it is a very multifaceted industry. Um,
mm-hmm.
and you got to find your place, like anybody in any industry. But that is how I got there. It was just a whole.
Okay.
I love it. Can we
Oh
just
man.
speak to like leaning into what is already in you? I feel like that is so,
Yes.
so, so important. Like,
Yes, you
yeah.
have to. You have. I believe this. Um, Being like African American, Black, whatever. Our parents and our like grandparents, our age group, they wanted what was best. They saw that there was going to be better, and everybody believed that college is the answer for everything. It's not so much college, it's training. And then you have to also know, to me, what is your heart saying to you? We have a conscious, we have the subconscious for a reason, and it talks to you all the time and it weighs you down when you're not. You can feel it. You can always
Mm-hmm.
feel it. And that
Mm-hmm.
feeling is not for nothing. And sometimes, because my whole life I had to make people a believer, and I think a lot of people sometimes are scared to do that. I feel like that was the joy in going to King, because everybody in King was like, this, I'm doing this. We all understood each other for whatever reason. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to bet on yourself. Your parents might think, well, being a doctor, you have this, you have that, you're fine, you won't have to worry. They never say you're going to have this debt that Joe Biden keeps telling you that you may or may not have to pay one day.
Come on,
All
Joe.
so
Do what's right.
you hear me? So there's this pro and con to everything. No risk, no reward. And sometimes you got to give up and do a little struggle, because you struggle one way or the other in real
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided like to bet on myself, and it's not easy, but the fulfillment is unmatched.
All right. I appreciate that.
That's the name of this episode. Fulfillment is unmatched.
Hold on. Let me write it down. Well, I'll catch it when I edit it. Fulfillment is unmatched. All right. Can we just say full plate? Full plate? No, I ain't gonna take it from there. Fulfillment. Okay, we got it. We got it. So we also have another Upper Bound alum here. She didn't participate at Upper Bound, but like all of us, she helped out some kids. So I was talking to Gabby last night about something similar. So just, reflecting your time at Upper Bound, we all love Upper Bound here, kind of promote that program. What did you do for us? And, how was that experience?
Well, first, thank you for inviting me to be a part of it. It was a very cool experience, and I loved how the kids, or I don't even want to call them kids because they're old enough not to be kids, but I
Young
loved
adults.
how they realized, like, okay, I can ask questions and I want to know more. And surviving college is real when you're hungry and you're broke. That's why you're taking food.
So, like, break down what your workshop consisted of, so for the people
So
who
my
know.
workshop consisted of how to take that college food, the typical college meals, like a bowl of ramen noodles, and turn it into something that is still cheap, but something that is delicious. And I reinforce with the students often to once you use these tips, sell those plates. I would tell them that all the time. I'm like, now, once you do this, you're going to have a friend come over, and then you start selling the plates. And so we just did really simple recipes. I can't even remember everything. I taught them how to do a quick mac and cheese instead of using Kraft. Like I said, we did the noodles, and we made ramen instead of just ramen noodles. I taught them how to make something in a cup. I think it was a cake or something, but just things that you can do, because cooking is not as hard as it seems. So I wanted them to, and then they started asking questions. I love that part. Because they were like, what if I add this? Can I do it like that? I'm like, yeah, do it. Try it, experiment.
So again, she being real humble, y'all. So what it was is she would go and get some groceries, like just the basic things that you would have, in college, right? And maybe like just the local grocery store, whatever. And then, we would deliver. This is during the pandemic, so we would deliver the things to the students, and then like via Zoom, they'll have like these classes where they're just using like microwaves and things. And let me tell you, we kept some of the bags because them little seasoning packets she was put like, girl, where you get this? This ain't in the regular ramen. Like it was fire, and I think that I would encourage everyone who is listening to like use your talents, right? And like these young people, they, this is what this whole platform here is predicated on, inspiring, young folks, because when I was in college, I didn't know how to jazz up the Easy Mac or, I ain't had it, so I think that having, and then she also always included like healthier options. So that is also very important for our young folks. And I can just report back to you, Shayla, that they are still using those tactics today. I talked to a
I
few of
love
them,
to hear
and
it.
they are still, they might not have that seasoning, but those tools still in their
Yes.
toolkit. So, thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you for having me on it.
Oh man, anytime, well, I ain't there no more, but anytime I got opportunity, of course I'm putting on my peoples. um, so let's fast forward. Like,
Hmm.
I want to talk about like last night was a Friendsgiving. Talk about how that came about. Talk about the menu. Please tell the people about the menu, and how and like how did you come up with Shayla's Kitchen?
Ooh, okay. So last night is something I dreamed about literally 2 years ago. And I was like, well, that looks expensive. So I just dreamed about it 2 years ago. Now, I am a firm believer in writing your vision and making it plain. That's the biblical term, but then Erica Badu says that spells come from spelling. So if you spell it, it will happen.
Okay. Appreciate a little
So
witchcraft. All right, I appreciate
you're
it.
right, but however you want to put it, everybody figured if you write this thing down,
Mm-hmm.
something got to come out of it. So I wrote it down, and then I put an end goal to it, and I'll tell you the end goal later. And then after I wrote it down, I was like, "Girl, you crazy." But I was like, "You crazy anyway." So like whatever. And so I feel like my purpose in life is to love. People will tell you I'm very patient with people. Most people be like, I would have. And I'm like, no, you got to see it from this angle. And I love putting my love in my food. I'm going to put on some old school music when I cook. I want you to leave me alone. I'm the grandma in the kitchen, like, no, I don't need your help, baby. And I'm thinking of what the people need, who I'm cooking for, how I want them to feel like, and I'm just kind of putting it all together that way. And so last night was the beginning of many to come. Um, but I wanted to do dinner how I remembered as a kid. That's why I told y'all, like, when the dinner is served, you gotta put your phone away. With no phones at grandma's table. We didn't really have the option because we're a little bit, grown. But even now, if you go to my grandma's house, the phone at the dinner table, excuse me, no. And you're still gonna laugh. You're still gonna find out the tea. You going all this stuff is gonna happen. So I wanted to bring that experience back. And this is no disrespect to Atlanta, but whatever. I'm tired of doing things solely on aesthetic and for Instagram photos. And I feel as though we eat with our eyes first, and people have caught on to that. And that is very true. So people will make everything look amazing, get the best photographers. I mean, if you ever looked at how you stage food for photography in real life, most of the time you're not even looking at food. So if your budget is big enough, you can have a certain aesthetic and trust and believe you're not even going to get that. It's like a McDonald's burger. So my experience in Atlanta, I was going down there to see if I wanted to expand there. And I was just sick of this aesthetic, and the grass wall and the aesthetic and the lights within the grass wall and little candles and flowers dropping out the ceiling. And I'm going to pay you $30 for chicken and waffles. And I didn't like it. And I was like, yo, this is like really baffling me. And then everybody's there. And it don't be a celebrity with a restaurant and your restaurant nasty, but everybody want to go because you got to take the picture. Because I went to so and so restaurant, right? But but the food. What about the food? I came to eat because I'm hungry. I didn't come to eat to take a picture. And so that's how last night really came about. And then a young lady, shout out to my girl Miranda of M Plus Media, she's getting ready to launch her photography business. And so her and I were on the phone one day, and she was like, when you come home, can I use you to just make some food and I'll do a photo shoot? And then I was like, well, I got one better. I'm like, why don't we just do a whole thing? And then we started just, the ideas were coming. And I sat after we got off the phone, I said, I wrote this down 2 years ago. And I was
Okay.
like, this is getting ready to happen. And she was like, I got the photography because that's one thing I'm going to do is what I know how to do. All the other stuff, I'm not going to do it. And I believe that people should take that into account too, because perfect the thing that you know or you set out to do, and everything else you need will be provided if you really believe in yourself that much. People are going to come to you because they believe in you. So she believed, okay, you're a good cook, I'll be your photographer. I don't my social media is terrible because I'm cooking. So people would be like, well, why
Hey,
don't you get a, because the people are eating because I could, and I want them to have a hot plate. I was worried about that yesterday, and I'm so sorry because I was really like, take the picture, girl, so the people can eat. And
listen, it was all good. Don't even worry about
but
none of that.
yeah, so that's how we got there.
So what did you make? Let's get to the meat and the potatoes.
So we had I did some short ribs with a balsamic glaze, but I didn't want the balsamic to be overpowering. But people don't know, balsamic vinegar especially tenderizes beef to a whole nother level. So if that's a tip.
Mm.
So I did the short ribs. We had a lemon and herb salmon. Um, I did a jerk turkey. They had international yams, which I did some ube yams. Those are the purple yams that you see people using often. And I did them with some red yams and some regular candy yams. And I uh, and I had like I used some bourbon and some vanilla and some cinnamon and some brown sugar. There's a
Mm.
tip. Happy Thanksgiving.
Take me back, Jesus. Take me back.
I did a 5 cheese mac. Let's see a tip for that. Goat cheese is always amazing. People don't know they're eating it and they'll enjoy it. Keeps it creamy and smooth.
What?
Yes, that was one of the 5 cheeses. We did greens, however. I believe in always making sure you get a superfood at some point in your meal. So the greens were kale greens, only kale greens.
Mm-hmm.
And they were called rainbow greens because I also added rainbow peppers and red onions. So it was like really pretty and bright. Your plate should never be dark. That's the tip. Our community, our plates are pretty like brown and yellow because everything's fried. No, you need some color. Color lets you know that when you eat this food, you can digest it when you're doing it. So that's important. What else did I did cornbread dressing, not your normal dressing. I made some sweet potato cornbread muffins, and then I made a cranberry compound butter to go with it.
Mm-mm. Smack it.
I also made some catfish bites with a crab cream
You ain't
sauce.
got caught making sexy. There was catfish nuggets, and those were bomb. She made catfish nuggets, bro. Smacking.
Yes. What else? We had dinner rolls,
Don't just say we just had dinner rolls, because that was what was on the rolls.
a garlic butter that was
Oof.
made. I prepared a garlic butter for you for
Mm,
the
mm,
dinner
mm.
rolls. And then I think that's about it. Oh, I made a peach cobbler while you all were eating. I prepared a peach
I'm sorry,
cobbler
you just whipping up a peach cobbler while everybody's
Yeah,
eating.
I'm in the
because
back.
that's how Thanksgiving is. I wanted you. I knew nobody knew what to expect on purpose. because the ticket was very like buy this ticket.
You
But
coming or no?
yes,
I'll be
and I
there.
did. I wanted that on purpose because I didn't want to create an expectation.
Mm.
Because I knew you'd be all right once you got there. So the ticket didn't say anything, but Thanksgiving, you know how you smell like the pound cake? You like, yeah, like I'm getting my slice. So I
I,
wanted to create that element.
speaking of, what your sister make?
My sister, she's a baker and she has her own business as well called Divine Bites Bakery. And she made lemon squares, peanut butter cookies, and chocolate chip cookies. And she also baked the cookies while they were eating. So you can
Nay, let me tell
smell
you
the
something. Let me tell you
okay.
something. I've never seen a cookie. It's like it had a filter on it. It was glistening. That peanut butter cookie. The chocolate chunk was great. The lemon square is great, but that warm peanut butter, it was fluffy. I don't know what kind of sugar she put up, bro. It was ridiculous.
She is the
Ridiculous.
baker. I let her do what she do best because I don't have the patience to bake. Baking requires a lot of patience and
It's
technicality.
chemistry. It's chemistry. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't. I want to just go like this and be done. And so I believe that was the whole menu. That was everything.
Well, you had some adult beverages now. You
Oh, we
had
did. We made a Henny cider, and then we did
that
a
was the one.
cranberry orange vodka. But it looked like everybody enjoyed the Henny
The
cider
Henny
because I
cider
didn't see
was
them.
it was licking the bowl at the bowl. It was smack.
Yes, and then that was everything. Yes,
So for those of you who missed it,
catch you next time.
you know
Did
what to
you
do.
like hold it in a venue? Did you use your home? Like,
Yes,
how did people get tickets?
We had to
yes, I
drive to
held it in
Iowa
a venue. Go
to
ahead,
get it.
Jeremy.
I said we had to drive to Iowa.
Listen, I searched for the perfect venue. By this being the first one, I originally found one that was in Pilsen. I'm like, cool. And the budget though, this is when it goes back to betting on yourself. I went all in, but I had to work with what I had. So this particular venue, that lady, she was so cool. We have the same exact birthday, and she was a private chef. And so I was like, okay, this is meant to be. But the venue, it had to be that one because she let us have that venue from 2 p.m. until 10. And it allowed me to do everything I needed to do. And I was like, just get through the first one. The first one of anything, though, is, I wouldn't call it trash. I would call it nostalgia because when you look back at it, you're like, okay, I got through it, but whew, yeah, I
Hey,
won't do it like that again.
I always think about our first episode. It was like,
Yes, it's all over the place. You run around, you just figuring it out. So the venue was very far, but we did use a venue. I wanted it intimate for a reason because it was a Friendsgiving, so it wasn't like 100 tickets on sale, or anything like that. It was I think I only had like 15 guests. I believe it might have been somewhere around there, maybe fewer. And we set the table. It was a dinner party. It was literally like, because the tickets were $100, and my goal was not to take your $100 and you sit there and be like, all right, I could have did this myself. I needed you to feel like I'll give it to you again for this.
can I prepay? Can I pay you now?
You would appreciate.
For later.
Somebody else did it. They
Just
said they put the money. Somebody else told me, she said, I'm gonna put my money away for the next one. And that's how I wanted you to feel. I want people to feel like it's worth it always. So we'll be popping up in different places too. I plan to do some in the suburbs, so just a little bit of everywhere. And I want to keep it exclusive. As far as you won't see what's happening until it's done. So either you came or you didn't.
okay. As we close out, what's next? What's on the horizon for Shayla's Kitchen?
Oh, so next one. Everybody, I'm coming back to Chicago. I'll officially be back in March when my lease is up. But honestly, I've been back every month for a booking. So if you need me, call me. That's probably the closest thing to happen. But
Okay.
however, prepare yourself because I love getting dressed, and that is a part of my personality. And these dinners will be turning into something way more than you could imagine. I can't say too much, but just try and think like, why would she say? Yes. So
That's
that's
okay. Next
next.
time you come back on the show, you can let us know, what exactly to expect.
Yes, I will let you know. That's next. And I really want to spread my love. Another thing that I want to start next year is starting to get people together. I did a feed the homeless one year,
Oh.
where we got together. It was the year before COVID, actually, and we got together. I learned that homeless people, even though it's holiday season, they do not want a Thanksgiving or a Christmas meal because they have nowhere to heat it up. And realistically, the fat and butters and everything they congeal, and nobody wants that. But what we did one year, and I want to start this back, and I want to do it quarterly, is we got socks, gloves, scarves, anything to stay warm. I had people donate that. We did
Hmm.
bottles of water. We gave people cases of water. We got chips and we made sandwiches because you can eat a sandwich hot and you can eat a sandwich cold. And we did sandwiches and we just gave it away until it was gone. We gave people the cases of chips. Some I never forget, a man said, "Well, I like all kinds of chips." And we just gave him the whole thing, like, here. And that is something near and dear to my heart. So I definitely that should be coming next year for sure.
Hmm.
And I just people can volunteer. They could bring some people brought stuff, donate. I'm not a give me your money person. Just give me your word. And so that's what's coming from
Okay.
over here.
All right. And we always ask. So right now, there is a young person on the in the Caldwells of the world, in the South
Hmm.
Shore communities of the world, or maybe at the King College Preps, right?
Hmm.
Hopefully, if they are ditching, it is to do something positive. No, we don't promote that. But right now, is a young person right now who is interested in being a chef, having their own kitchen, right? And
Hmm.
so, what are some things that they could be doing right now, to kind of be in your shoes when they grow up?
Well, the first thing you do is keep doing it. Repetition. Repetition is key. Um, Always have people around you that will tell you the truth.
Mm.
Always, especially with food. Don't have a friend that's oh it's good and they go home and it's no. Have your truth tellers around you. And I mean, for me personally, I don't know who's all religious or not. Pray until the way I pray is what we doing. I don't pray like a normal person. I'm like God. Look, I said I want to do this. How is it happening? And then the other thing is be real with yourself.
Hmm.
If it's something you really want to do, or is it something you know how to do? Is this passion, or are you trying to get likes on Instagram?
Mm. Bars.
Because your passion is going to take you where you want to go. Your likes, I don't know so much. I'm not really technically from that era, so I can't say. But people know real. So if you want to be a chef, and if you want to be a chef, literally understand blood, sweat, and tears. Because a cut and a burn don't end nothing.
Listen,
We don't care.
I could wish I got chef's hands,
Yes, blood,
because
sweat, and tears. It's not pretty. I did not look pretty before y'all got there. And don't because I noticed a lot of people are doing like cooking videos on social media. Don't consider it a cop out. It's a hard job too. I
hmm
wasn't a great scholar. I'm a great chef, but it still required work. So that's my takeaway from that. Or not my takeaway, but that's what I give you.
Yeah.
If you do it.
All right. Well, that's a wrap, y'all. Thank you for going on this journey with us as always. And I want to thank you, Shayla, for being not just a great guest, but making a great meal. Really appreciate it. And before we go, tell the people where they can find you, where they can book you, where they could, get some of these delicious yum yums.
Well, I solely use social media.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at Welcome to Shayla's Kitchen on Instagram. Literally just that. And you can DM me, and then we get to talking, and everything goes from there. The fun part is creating the menu. I create it with you. There's not too many things I can't do. So if you have an idea, I just work with you to make it happen. So just find me on social media, and let's get it going. I'm ready.
Hit up. Until next time, keep teaching, keep loving, keep learning, y'all. Peace.